So if you look at any image of, say, for instance, like a room or like a interior, you'll notice that they have a vanishing point that sort of, ends around like the corner of the room or so. The way we designed our vanishing point last time, the vanishing point was off to the side, so it was off on the left and the right. But how do we get this same sort of two-point perspective here? We've got left and right. We've got two sort of like, points of vanishing. In this case, we have 1 point of vanishing, but we still have two like outer edges here that we want to come together. How do we get that to happen? Well, if we were to, for instance, go ahead and start a web large here. Press create and activate your perspective grid. If we were to try to, say, for instance, go to view and perspective grid and just change it over from 2 points to a 1 point, you'll notice that we have basically the oblique projection that we talked about before. So say, for instance, I were to draw like on this blue side here, I could just draw, here, and then I could obviously draw on the bottom as well here. But to connect them, you would essentially be drawing just plain old normal sort of flat angle square. The idea being that like you're just looking at these things from the front, and then you kind of are able to see like a perspective off to the background here. It's a forced perspective, and it's not necessarily all that realistic, but it's not necessarily what we're looking for. Let me just back up here a little bit. So the way we do that is by messing around with the little sort of nodules on the side here. Let me just go to, once again, view perspective grid and just make it go back to 2-point perspective, 2-point normal. There's a few things we can look at here. Let's just double click. Let's just click on the perspective grid tool. There's this one little node right around here. I want to say, if like this little node right here, where we can actually pick up the grid and move it around if we wanted to. We can grab this right here and we can change the horizon, right? We can actually change the height of the grid itself and give ourselves more room to kind of like see where these would go. We could even like lower this down some to give ourselves like a little less room. We could even pull the anchor, the sort of vanishing point, over to the side here to give ourselves more of an extreme angle on one side versus the other. And then we can even go over here and sort of give ourselves a little more detail with, say, for instance, we can shorten this up. We can give ourselves fewer squares or more squares and stuff. But the way we were to, for instance, change where the vanishing point kind of occurs is by grabbing this little widget right here. So we've got 3 widgets here. We've got these right here. If we were to grab this one and kind of yank it over to the side, and obviously you can hold down shift while you do it, and it'll just snap onto the different little lines of your perspective grid on the bottom, right? And then do the same thing over here. Just grab this and pull it to the side here. You'll notice that we're creating a vanishing point that's more towards one side or the other. Now in this case, the vanishing point where they converge is right here in the center. This is where they would be converging, and then once you go past that, it'd be kind of hard to see anything else. But essentially, what you're looking at here is just a new vanishing point. Instead of it being off to either side, it's in the center, and then from there you can adjust where your things go. Now, if yours doesn't look exactly like mine, which it's not important that it does, only that you have a vanishing point that's more towards the center, that's fine. It's not a huge deal if it doesn't look precisely like mine, but we're going to see if we can't create like a basic little room with some real minimalist kind of features in here. So let's start off by drawing our floor here, and so we'll just grab our square and just maybe grab the floor and this little green area here, and I'm going to change my fill to say something like, I'll start drawing in grayscale for now. So we can kind of determine where our light source is coming from. I think maybe it's coming from, say for instance, this side over here. So I'll start off, give myself some little wiggle room here. I'll start off a little bit darker, and I'll just draw in my square, any old place, maybe like right about there or so. I notice it's getting pretty extreme down this way. If it starts to get a little bit too extreme, you can always adjust your perspective here to kind of get it back to someplace you might like it. In this case, I'm going to see if I can pull this over this way and pull this over here. Okay. That's fun. And so I'll just click on the left grid. Now notice the left grid is blue, And even though I have the left grid activated, now the left grid is on the right. So if I'm going to start drawing on this, let me just double click on this and just get the stroke gone. Now I'm going to have to be drawing over here on this blue grid. Let's just grab our square. We can. Oh, see. Right, here we go. Cool. Now we have this wall fitting in with this. And I'll make this a good deal lighter. And then we'll just click on the orange and draw another square. And now we have the walls of our room. And if you felt so inclined, you could even draw the ceiling to it as well. Let me just make this a bit darker. Okay, I don't know if I wanted to go that dark. Maybe I'll just go from here to here to here. That's good enough. Okay, so we'll just have it be like that. Let me get real close here and just double check that everything's meeting at the same spot. Alright, not quite. Alright. Okay, cool. Alright, so with that done, let's maybe draw in, say for instance, well, I don't know, some kind of a bed shape here. So we'll draw a little bed hanging out here. I'm just going to Control Shift and I just to kind of look at what we're looking at here. Okay, Control Shift I again. Alright, so we'll see if we can't draw this bed. I'll start it maybe over this way. Just we'll start off once again. Let's start off we'll start off on the orange side here, just to kind of give us an idea of where it's going to start. So I think it's going to be against the wall here, and I'll start from the floor and work my way up. So I'll just draw like so. I want to give myself a little bit of room off the wall here. Okay, that's good. And then we can just draw on the other side here, just to give ourselves the sort of what we want in terms of the side of the bed. You can kind of see it extending outwards here. Okay, and I'll make this, say for instance, I don't know, blue. And I'll click on this side here. Okay, and then I'll click on the floor, as it were, and let's just double check on this. Let's just make this a bit darker, and then we'll click on the floor here and draw in the floor, or the top of the bed, as it were. Okay, and we'll get our Shift V here and just grab this and make sure this matches up. And we can make this a little bit lighter, but not quite as light. Let's go over here to HSB. Okay, and so now we want to finish up by giving it little legs down here. So I'll give it some legs. Getting close. And I'll just, once again, get the blue side here. And I might even change the color to say, for instance, like, I don't know, brown. Give it some legs. Okay, and then we can even grab our move tool here and just, once again, the perspective move tool, and just move this along until it fits in down to the bottom like this. Okay, and then we could also draw the front here. And because we drew this second, or drew this afterwards, we can kind of hide this behind everything. Okay, I'll just make this a bit darker. I'll do the same thing over here. And my keyboard. So. And you can do the same thing, Shift V. And then click on this Shift V. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's looking quite the way I expected it to. I think I'll just pull this back a little bit just to see. Yeah, that makes more sense. Okay. Alright. Let's double check this is fitted in. Okay, cool. Alright, and we can just be here. Make sure these all fit together. And take this back. Alright, neat. And we can add maybe, for instance, some pillows in a second. But for now, we'll just, how about this? We'll just add like maybe a sheet, as it were. We could just add like a sort of the illusion of like there being like a comforter here. So let's change the color to say, for instance, I don't know, maybe like a purplish color. We'll draw another rectangle here on the top. Really, we'll just have it. We just change it to white, and we can draw the sheets at the front. Anyway, it looks like we have like a sort of a turn down, as it were. We can connect it down here on the other side. And looks kind of cool, right? Like that. Maybe even like extend these out some. And just make this slightly darker here. Wait, no, not that side. We make this side slightly darker. Okay, cool. And maybe we can draw a little nightstand over here. So we can just once again grab our rectangle. We'll start on this side here, and make it like brownish, but like maybe make it a little more red. So we'll just draw this over here. Once again, we're on the blue side, so it's going to start off in the corner and like work its way like so. So we can just kind of draw a little nightstand, say for instance like that, and then we'll just draw the front. And we can even draw some drawers here. Cool. Alright, now we'll just draw the top as well. And we probably stop it right about here and maybe just draw in like a photo, like a picture at the top here. Like so, and connect this up. Alright, that's good. Alright, cool. We may even just grab all this and move it over a little bit so we don't get that little. Oh, it appears. Oh, yeah, there we go. I see. We can't move things at the same time. on different grids. We have to make sure they're on the same grid. We can't select multiple things. Alright. Cool. And I'll make this slightly darker. Oops. So make this side here slightly darker. There we go. Alright, and yeah, let's just add one last little thing here just to kind of round this out. Like a little picture on the wall, or even like a window or something. And then we'll do one last thing to kind of like finish everything, kind of finesse everything. Alright, last thing we'll do is, we'll just grab our tool here and we can just add ourselves a little photograph above the bed. And we can like just make it like a poster, maybe like gray or so. And then let's grab our text tool here and just type maybe like a slogan like life is good. And we can do a couple things, like say for instance we can just change it to a nicer color, like say for instance like a grayish pinkish color. It's up to you. Change the font to something nice. I might change mine to something like a scripty font. I might even shear it slightly. And not horizontally. Vertically. And then make it a bit bigger. And lastly, get the perspective move tool here and move it right here. There we go. Let's make it a bit bigger. Neato. Alright, okay, so let's Control-Shift-I and pull this back down to where we can, we can kind of see it here. And let's add one little thing. Let's first off, I'm going to go through and just match all my corners here for just a second. Let's go zoom in some. We just go to View and take off Snap to Pixel. And we'll do the same thing down here. So, keyboard. And maybe what we'll do is we'll get in here with, like, say for instance, the pen tool, and let's see if we can't draw in a couple pillows. If I go in just like make it a little oval shape here. And maybe coloring it, say for instance, like a similar color to the sheets. And then when we make our little shape that goes around it, shape the pillow here. We can turn it into this little gradient that uses these two shades that we had before. Like so. And alter the angle slightly of our gradient by hitting our gradient tool. And then we can just go over here to our just double check this. Let's see. Can I make this slightly darker? Alright, cool. So now we have that going on, and we can maybe even try to make it fit in with the perspective a bit better. That's good. I'll drag it some, shrink it down a little bit. Okay. Alright, cool. Alright, so we got this little bedroom here. Now, before we export this though, we'll just do one thing here. Let's just select everything. I'm going to Alt drag it over here and kind of group it together. Yeah, okay. Whoops. Alt drag it here. Okay, and so over here we've got all this. Let's see if we can. Okay, yeah. Basically, what this does is it allows us to kind of expand all the shapes. So when we expand it out to fit in, say for instance, to our artboard, I'm going to make it just big enough to where it sort of fits in and doesn't have a lot of white space kind of hanging out here. Essentially, now what we've got is just like just our little room, and yeah. So let's just get our artboard shrunk down to fit it, so we don't have any white space kind of hanging out. I'll shrink it down like this, and from here, you can just you know, like maybe for instance, finesse the colors. Like if you want to just like make this into like a different color, like say for instance, you could make it. Let's think here. So this is, you know, blue. So maybe you can make it like, oh, I don't know, like yellow, and then from here just make this one a little darker yellow. So yeah, the perspective grid allows us to make some fun little rough drawings, as it were, that that we can then, you know, add our own little artistic flair to. Maybe over here I'll just make this into like a different color altogether. I'll make it like maybe like a dark mahogany brown, like this. But I'll definitely take like the saturation down some. It's kind of hideous, honestly. Just look at the hue. Oh, that's good. Okay, cool. Alright, so I'm just going to export this. File, export for screens. That can give us our JPEG here. And export this. Let's call this room. And then export this. Let's see what it looks like when we open it up. Yeah, kind of neat. All right, so basic stuff with our with our shall we say perspective grid. Kind of a unfinished, shall we say, bed here with like no headboard and whatnot, but it's cool. All right, well, neat. Well, can't wait to see you guys produce. So see if you can't add your own little flair to this, and I'll see you in class.